Seniors, this is your last chance to make your mark. If any of you want to become state champions, ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to give up to achieve my dreams?
You worried? No. Figure all I gotta do is beat Bradshaw, right?
Hey, Bo Sanders. So, beginning of a new wrestling season. Any predictions?
160 champ. What else?
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get hurt.
And you're gonna lose.
Everyone, this is a transfer student, Lynn Tran.
Oriental population of Santa Fe just like doubled.
I challenge you. My kung fu is better than yours.
Oh, a funny dude, you know?
This is about Bradshaw, man. Nothing else.
It is about something else. Iowa wants me to wrestle Bradshaw. Not you. You had your shot.
I did my part, and I'll be damned if you don't deliver.
He stole state from me, and now he's getting this hype of champion of champions.
This is wrestling. 3 periods, 2 minutes. One objective, to win. They say there's no I in team, but let me tell you, there is one in pin. Who can get that pin? I can get that pin! Who can get that pin? I can get that pin! Who can get that pin? I can get that pin!
Chào đón quý vị trở lại với chương trình Tâm tình nghệ sĩ. Ngày hôm nay hai khách mời của chúng tôi là cô Lê Đình Ysa, đại diện cho ban tổ chức Đại hội Điện ảnh Việt Nam Quốc tế ViFF 2013, và anh John Wynn, tài tử chính. Anh Tâm phải lặp lại nhiều lần tại vì điều này quá là đặc biệt của bộ phim Beyond the Mat. Bộ phim được chọn trình chiếu trong đêm khai mạc, và vừa rồi là cái trailer của bộ phim Beyond the Mat. Tell us about the movie. What is it all about?
What is it all about? You know, it's really about, it's a universal story. First off, it's about a young man who has the opportunity to go to college on a wrestling scholarship.
Become a doctor?
To be possibly a doctor, and hopefully have his school paid for because he can wrestle. And his best friend, and they live in this small town. And the interesting thing about our movie is the character that I play, Aaron Miller, he's adopted. He's Vietnamese, but he's adopted by a white Caucasian family. So it's an interesting thing because he doesn't quite know his true heritage. He doesn't really understand it. And he hasn't been actively seeking out when we first start the movie.
Okay.
But throughout the film, he starts to wake up and realize how important that is to him, and how being Vietnamese is crucial to who he is as a person. And that is interwoven in the story along with his quest to continue this wrestling championship that he's searching for, and it puts him at odds with his best friend. And in the trailer you see that, like, him and his best friend are both trying to wrestle the same person so they can both win, but only one of them can. And so it creates a natural tension between them. And then we're obviously, it's a great story because we also have a very wonderful love story in there as well. It's a very, very universal type movie. I think anyone can go and watch it and get something out of it and feel very emotionally attached to the film.
Now, when you said that the character you play in the movie, he's going through this quest to find out about his heritage, it just made me think about your name, John Wynn. You spell it W-I-N-N?
W-Y-N-N,
Y-N-N.
Yes.
Is it a variation of Wynn?
It is. So my natural last name is N-G-U-Y-E-N, Wynn.
Okay.
But what happened is when I first came to Los Angeles and I was auditioning as an actor,
Okay.
Now I was very fortunate that I was getting to audition with a lot of different people, but there weren't a lot of necessarily Vietnamese people in the room or a lot of Asian people necessarily. I was auditioning for a lot of what we say, Caucasian roles.
Okay.
I'm fortunate that my English was good
Right.
enough that they were saying that these are roles I was up for. But when I was there, early in my career, they were having a hard time pronouncing my last name. So when I was waiting in the room, they would say John and then some variation of the last name, but I wouldn't hear my last name.
I see.
And so I wouldn't, I would just be studying my lines, and then I wouldn't respond, and then they would get upset and say, why didn't you say you were here?
I see.
And then I would say, well, because you didn't say my name.
Oh.
And so then I realized I'm just going to make it easier.
Okay.
And it was, for me, it was just an easier for them to pronounce my last name.
Okay.
Little did I come to find out that if I had waited maybe a year or two, it probably wouldn't have mattered, and like people would learn to say it anyway. But it's something I did early in my career. And then when I became the Screen Actors Guild, when I became a member of that, you have to choose your name.
Right.
So you become part of the professional acting community. And at that time, I had changed it to make it easier for pronunciation. So I just went ahead with that. Again, I'm very sorry, Mom and Dad. My mom and Dad were not very happy with that. But that was the only reason I actually did it, was because I was trying to make the pronunciation easier at the time, early in my career.
So it has nothing to do with the fact that you're kind of ashamed of
No, not at all. And in some ways, it'd probably be more beneficial for me now if I went back to my original spelling, but it's already kind of established.
And plus, there's so many Wynn out there.
Well, I mean, that is the one thing. I guess the only one benefit out of it is that, I always say to my Caucasian friends, Wynn is like Smith or Jones.
Right.
Right. It's a very common Vietnamese last name.
Correct.
But the way it's spelled now for my career, it does make it easier sometimes for people to notice that name right away. Right. But ultimately, I mean, I'm very proud of my original birth name. So
it's okay. At ViFF, when we introduce John, we'll say John Wynn.
There you go. So
that's not fair though, because that's not his stage name. We wouldn't recognize him. Anyway, back to the movie. I like the conflict that they built in the movie for the characters. I guess that's the conflicts you deal with daily life. The conflicts between your friendship, your best friend, and your fame, your career. Has it ever happened to you in real life where you have to choose?
And unfortunately, it has happened in my real life, and I think for a lot of people out there, it happens in some way or another. Maybe the word maybe it's not because they're going to be on TV or in movies, but maybe it's their career. Maybe they have to make choices of saying, I want to do this for my life, but my friends or family are having a hard time with that decision. Right. I think it's a very relatable, universal thing.
Right.
In my personal life, it definitely has happened because you sometimes are faced with opportunities that you want to take, and then sometimes your friends are saying, don't worry about that. Let's just hang out, or let's go do this and this. And for each person, you have to make that choice. You have to understand what it is that you hope to achieve in your life, but at the same time, stay loyal to the people that have always been with you, which are your friends and your family. And unfortunately, it's happened in my life before, but I can also say later on, we were able to work it out. We were able to sit down as adults, have a conversation about it, and still maintain a friendship. So I think that's the saving grace of it. Ultimately, you just want to be able to communicate to each other.
The struggle that the main character in the movie has to go through, I find that very endearing, because I myself, I still fighting that struggle every single day, being in this country for 20 years. I guess it's hard being Asian in this country where the society is predominantly white. It would have been twice as hard being in Hollywood, would you say?
I think it is. It is, and it's difficult not because they necessarily discriminate or treat us poorly or anything like that, but it's the amount of opportunities are just less, and some of that is just because for us as Asian Americans, as Vietnamese Americans, as Vietnamese here in America, we aren't behind the camera very often.
Correct.
We're not directing and writing and producing on a Hollywood scale. But that is changing. I mean, obviously, you see, we have a Vietnamese director who just got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Foreign Film. That's an amazing accomplishment for us. So,
and he won.
And
you're talking about
for
Ang Lee.
Ang Lee as an Asian American, yes. That's a huge accomplishment. And I think that's Ang's second Academy Award. So you see, things are changing, but
not fast enough.
Not fast enough, and it's slow. So it is difficult because when you show up and you truly believe in your soul and your heart that I'm good and I'm talented and I want to do this, sometimes you're faced with that adversity of, well, there's not enough roles for you, or there's not an opportunity, or you can't read for this part because, unfortunately it's a white character and you're Asian.
Correct.
So you have to learn to adapt, and you have to learn to be smarter and fight smarter in a way. And by what I mean by that is become actively involved in creating your own projects as well. Beyond the mat, I'm very fortunate. We have a director who's great, we have producers who's great, but that was something that me and my production team at the time, we actively went to go make this movie. And it was something that I actively wanted to make because I wanted to be in it. And I wanted to have a chance to do this role because it's a very unique Asian American lead role that you don't see very often, you almost never see. And so to make that happen, I feel like I had to come at it a different way, and I was able to have really great producers behind me, and we went and made this movie. And I think that's the challenges we face in Hollywood as Asian Americans, as Vietnamese. Like, we have to be active too and figure out, okay, well, they're not going to let us come in normally like everyone else. It's not the same opportunity, so let's go grab our opportunity. Let's go make it ourselves.
It sounds easy though, but
it isn't. But yeah, it always is easy to talk about, but it's a lot of hours and sleepless weeks, and you have to. I use the word a lot, the grind. You have to be willing to put the time and energy into it on all scales, whether you're an actor or a writer or director or producer. You have to be willing to sacrifice.
How long have you been working in Hollywood?
It's been close to almost 8 or 9 years now. I've been a working actor and producer.
So let's say if you didn't venture into Hollywood and you stayed with medical school, you'd probably be a doctor now.
I would definitely be a doctor now. All my friends from medical school are practicing doctors, yes, physicians.
If you had a chance to do it again, would you rather become a doctor now or be who you are?
No, who I am. Because I, with every fiber of my being, I wake up every morning and I am beyond happy and beyond thankful at the opportunities, at the life that I live. And it's not because of fame or fortune, it's because it's what I'm born to do and it's what I'm supposed to do. And I'm very fortunate that I get to do what I want. Because there's so many people out there, even right now, probably even watching us right now, who don't have the opportunity to do what they truly want to do in their heart. It's a luxury. And so I wake up every morning thankful for that luxury. I don't look at it as like I deserve it. I look at it as every day I need to earn that because it's something that I'm fortunate and lucky to have the opportunity for. So I don't want to ever disrespect that. So if I had the choice, I wouldn't go back because I'm in the right spot.
Thanh Tâm có lẽ phải xin lỗi khán giả một chút xíu, là tại vì mỗi một lần mà Thanh Tâm được cái dịp interview với lại bất kỳ một actor hay là actress nào, người Việt Nam, người châu Á đó, Thanh Tâm lúc nào cũng hỏi cái câu hỏi này, tại vì đối với Thanh Tâm ấy, to me, I didn't have the courage or the luxury to pursue my own dream, to do things I really want to do because I have to struggle between what's real, what's realistic, and what's not.
Right.
And I never had that courage. And sometimes now, I always look back and say, what if? What if? And that's why I always ask that question whenever I have the chance to, and I do really admire you for having the courage to pursue your own dream.
Well, thank you. And I will say, though, I actually admire you very much. You were very good at what you do here.
He's my new best friend.
No, you said we were just talking about how amazing you are and how smooth and
amazing to
your presence is really fantastic here.
Tại vì đối với Tâm, to me, you only have one life to live.
Right.
And you have to. It's up to you to make it worth it. It's no one else. Đối với người Việt mình, is that to us Vietnamese, we come from a different background. It's different. When you go here you have a lot of baggage, you have a lot of obligations and duties.
Right.
It's different. But I do hope that for the next generation, where they can afford a better life, they can afford the chance to go after what they really want to do, who they're really becoming, they would be able to do that.
I think the most important part is, again, you have to believe it. You have to believe it, but you're
to a certain point.
To a certain point, right? You can't be ridiculous about it, but you have to believe to a certain point that you can accomplish it, that it is going to happen for you, that you truly will succeed. But you also have to pay your respects to the generation before you that has laid the groundwork so that you can chase these dreams. Like for myself, I'm fortunate because my family has sacrificed so that I could grow up in this country and have the opportunity to come to Hollywood. They worked very hard when I was young so that I could have the opportunity. So for anyone else out there, the younger generation, if they want to aspire to get into entertainment, I would fully encourage you to do it, and I would fully support, and anything I could ever do to help, I would help. But I'd also say, turn and look at your mother and your dad and your grandparents and thank them for the opportunity that you can even think about doing that, right. That you don't, that you're not forced to do something else.
Because there's nothing worse than wake up one day when you're in your 40 or 50 and think, oh my God, where did my life go? And I wasted it.
Right.
There's nothing worse than that feeling.
Right, because you said it is only one life. It is only one life.
Mới đó thời giờ đã hết nữa rồi, thưa quý vị, rất là tiếc chúng tôi không còn thời giờ nhiều để mà nói chuyện với lại anh John Wynn và cô Ysa nữa. Thì trước khi kết thúc, tôi lại mời Ysa giới thiệu lại một chút xíu nữa về ViFF, thời gian, địa điểm, cũng như là quý vị khán giả mà muốn theo dõi, muốn tham gia, mua vé ở đâu, website như thế nào?
Dạ, Và Đại hội Điện ảnh Việt Nam Quốc tế, tức là Vietnamese International Film Festival ViFF, sẽ được khai mạc vào ngày 4 tháng 4 và kéo dài cho đến ngày 14 tháng 4 và sẽ được trình chiếu tại rạp Edwards ở Irvine và tại Đại học ở UC Irvine, cũng như là một ngày ở UCLA và 2 ngày thứ 6 là ở Viện Bảo tàng Bowers. Và phim khai mạc sẽ là phim Beyond the Mat với nam tài tử chính là John Wynn, và vé hiện có bán tại nhà sách Tú Quỳnh cũng như là Bullstar Tickets và trên mạng ở www.vietfilmfest.com.
Và giá rất là mềm.
Rất là mềm.
Xin thưa rõ với quý vị là Đại hội Điện ảnh sẽ diễn ra trong 2 cái cuối tuần liên tiếp, từ tối thứ Năm, thứ Sáu, thứ Bảy và Chủ nhật của tuần lễ đầu tiên, và sau đó thứ Năm, thứ Sáu, thứ Bảy, Chủ nhật của tuần lễ thứ hai. Cho nên là có rất là nhiều phim mà chúng tôi không có thời gian để mà thông báo hết bộ phim nào chiếu ngày giờ nào. Thì nếu mà quý vị muốn biết thêm chi tiết cụ thể thì mời vào trang nhà của ViFF ở địa chỉ là
vietfilmfest.com.
Cảm ơn Ysa. Thank you, John Wynn, so
Thank you
much.
very
And
much.
hopefully we'll have a chance to meet each other again and talk again in the
I
future.
can't wait. I am super thankful. Thank you.
Cảm ơn sự theo dõi của quý vị và xin hẹn gặp lại trong chương trình talk show kỳ sau.